Hey everybody, Paddy here. Thank you so much for watching and listening to TFN. Here we go with another year of the effing news. All positive news. Positive, positive, positive. This will give you a boost, I promise you. Now, our great Kiwi today is actually an Aussie, but you won't be complaining because it is rock legend Jimmy Barnes. And he tells me about how he nearly got killed at his first New Zealand concert when he racked up a gang fight and jumped right in it. Jimmy has got some great life lessons from a life well lived for us as well. And today's good Kiwi is an interesting one. It's more of a crazy Kiwi actually, because this is to do with Uganda. Yes, Uganda in Africa. This Kiwi is the most famous white person in Uganda. He's even been accused of being a CIA spy. His real name though is Sam, and he's from Christchurch. This is a world exclusive for the effing news, TFN. And how good was the ferry driver who sailed right through the Sail GP? Real good in my opinion. We need more Kiwis like him, and I will tell you why. Right, let's get into it. Jimmy Barnes needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him anyway. He is a rocker, tough as hell, with a voice as raspy as my granddad's rusty old saw, and that was very raspy. Jimmy Barnes has led 1,000 lives, maybe 1 million, maybe 1 trillion. He's not technically a Kiwi, but I, for one, wish he was, because Barnesy is great, and there's a lot we can learn from him. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Good to have you here in New Zealand. I hope you're enjoying it. And one thing I wanted to ask you actually were, do you have a sort of first memory of coming to New Zealand? You've come here a lot. What's your first memory?
I think one of the first things we did really was Ngarawahia, Sweetwater.
Oh, Sweetwaters, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember playing down there, and it was an unusual. We came a couple of years in a row. I can't remember which one was which, but one of the shows was it was with Ultravox. They had Vienna and all that at the time, and there was a whole bunch of bands that were much more sort of gothic and wide ranging, sort of a bit more arty than us. And we came on, and we were on just before them, and we went like hell for leather, and went down really well. And I think there was sort of the start of the connection with New Zealand, because from then on, everywhere we played, we seen people in good crowds, and it was a particularly memorable night because I think there was a lot of there was a big motorbike gang in the crowd, and there was fights going on in the front row, and I think if I remember right, I actually jumped into the middle of one.
Really?
Yeah.
Why was that? Because that was a very famous sort of gang fight at that Sweetwaters.
Yeah, because I just wanted to be a part of it. I was young and going wild, and I think it was interrupting the show, and I wanted to get in amongst it and sort it out. And to everybody's credit, the bikies at the show, they didn't turn on me or anything, and everything sort of diffused, and it sort of just became part of the show really. So it was a great thing.
So you're telling me
I could have been killed though.
Yeah, you could have been killed in New Zealand because
yes, exactly.
There were First weapons. Show. There were weapons and all sorts.
Oh
of
yeah,
things.
they were a wild mob, but it was a good. They were all there for the show really. I think they just got carried away waiting around, and we came on and we did sort of whip them into a frenzy. That was our job in those days. I was going ballistic, and so I felt a little responsible for it. So I wanted to get in amongst it.
Yeah, because gang violence is a massive issue in this country at the moment.
I know it's a huge problem, and just to be clear,
just be careful what you admit to. You might not.
But just to be clear, I mean, over the years, I had incredible support from a lot of the gangs. I remember, we've been to sort of welcoming ceremonies in Auckland, in South Auckland, and all that sort of stuff. It's been really, we've been treated really well by general public and outlaw motorbike gangs alike. So we've done well with them all.
So gangs have treated you well while you've been here?
Yeah, so I think we're one of the few bands that they have. I mean, we were a rock and roll band, though. We played what people wanted to hear, and it was sort of, and I think it sort of bridged that gap and it sort of brought a lot of people together. They get there and they were too busy sort of waiting for me to explode or implode before than fight each other,
Yeah, and I mean, you literally got down off the stage at Sweetwaters and into a gang fight.
Yeah. Literally. I think to make it worse, I'd climbed down from the top of the lighting towers. I'd climbed up the lighting truss during Wild Thing or something, and this all sort of erupted below me. So I had to work my way down through the lighting truss back onto the stage, and then jump off the front of the stage into the front.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, you could have been killed that day.
Yeah. But it was just part of the show in those days. I was fearless, and I'm still fairly fearless at the moment.
Yeah, but luckily for you, there is a gang patch ban in this country, so there'll be no gang patches at any of Cold Chisel's concerts.
No. I think things are quieting down.
Doing it again. Yeah, you've
I
quietened
think
down.
they're quieting down, and I've certainly quietened down. So.
And you've now got New Zealand family connections, of course. You've got
Absolutely,
grandson here, Teddy, and
yeah. Well, I've had family for years, really. It's been it's been my adopted families. Whether it's the Finns or whatever. I've always had really good friends here and felt very connected here. But obviously EJ, Eliza Jane, who's singing on the Cold Chisel tour, actually, married a Jimmy Metherell, a fantastic.
He's a great Kiwi. He's a great Kiwi.
Great Kiwi boy. He's one of the great ones, and and they've got Teddy now, who's the best kid I've ever seen. So so that gives me more reason to come to New Zealand whenever I can, whenever I've got time off.
Yeah, and in terms of the crowds here in New Zealand. There will be a lot of. I know my dad's going along. There will be a lot of boomers there. You're not expecting them to erupt like the gang back at Sweetwaters.
Well, you know what? Don't underestimate us boomers. We're a violent bunch. No. Our crowds are still. Our crowds are obviously you can see a lot of grey hair in the audience these days, but they still really love to rock. And I think they grew up doing this as much as we did. They grew up with us together, and so we share the same past, we share the same history, and we share the same love of rock and roll. And I think that when I play with, we've just done like 25 shows in Australia. And I've noticed even hit down in Queenstown the other day, the audience is sort of it's not confined just to boomers. There's lots of looks like they're bringing their kids and their grandkids along with them, And I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there who have been brainwashed by their parents over the years to listen to Cold Chisel. But it seems they all seem really up for a good time. We don't have any problem, sort of getting them up and running. They go crazy.
Yeah, no, I was at your concert last year. I absolutely loved it, and I have to say, Jimmy, I am an utter fanboy of yours. I love you.
Good on you.
And I think I'm not the Governor General, but I will make you an honorary Kiwi today. I don't have any powers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
well, I'll take that because I feel very at home here. I'm actually down at Sam Neill's house at the moment, staying with my dear friend Sam, and I'm just looking around here down the Clyde where the two paddocks place is, and this is one of the most beautiful parts of the world. To be in New Zealand and get to come, have this so close to where I live and be able to come over here and feel at home here is a real blessing.
Yeah, so you're with Sam Neill at the moment, so you'll be able to tell him afterwards that Paddy made you an honourary Kiwi. But
I will. I'll tell him.
That actually makes you eligible for an even better award because this interview every week we actually reserve for people that we call great Kiwis. So I've made you an honorary Kiwi, but that means you're now actually one of Paddy's great Kiwis. So that's
thank you very much. And one of Sam's dinosaurs.
You can go and wash down with a glass of Sam Neill's Pinot Noir or something like that.
No problem.
Jimmy, a couple of massive concerts coming up at massive, iconic New Zealand holiday spots. You've got one this weekend, obviously on the Friday night at Taupo, and then the next night over in the Coromandel at Whitianga. What can people expect at those? Are you going to rock these summer holiday spots?
Well, absolutely. I mean, because we probably, Cold Chisel probably had done some of the best shows we've ever done in our careers in 50 years. And these last two shows are the last two shows of the tour. And, we don't get together all the time, so Lord knows when we'll get to do this again. So we're going to be tearing the place apart. We want to get out, have the best time, and we want to, there's people going past on motorbikes here. We want to go have the best time. We want to celebrate, bringing in the new year with our Kiwi friends and family, and we're going to go crazy.
Cool. And Jimmy, we always end by asking our great Kiwis to give some lessons from their life for other Kiwis. Is there something you could pass on to other Kiwis now, Jimmy?
Well, I always tell my favourite lesson in life is, I used to sort of get stuck into the work and or everything I did, I'd be so, looking at the destination all the time, where I want to go next, what I'm going to do, and the best advice I ever got was enjoy the journey, because most of what you do, like when we were young bands, growing up in Australia and New Zealand, even before we were famous, most of the best fun we had was when we were young bands, traveling, the camaraderie, the striving for excellence, trying to do the best you can. So I tell everybody, in everything they do, just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I certainly will, Jimmy. That's great advice from Jimmy Barnes. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy your journey here. Have a wonderful weekend and 2 massive gigs.
See you, Paddy. All the best, mate.
Thank you, Barnesy. Enjoy the ride. That was Barnesy's advice. It's great advice, but it's hard to do. When we're busy and we're doing stuff, it is hard to enjoy the ride. Now, Jimmy Barnes is still on that ride of his. Jimmy Barnes and Cold Chisel playing at Taupō this Saturday, along with Icehouse, Beckrunga and Everclear. My dad, Gordon Gower, will be there. He won't be playing, though. And then over to the Coromandel at Whitianga on Sunday night. Get out there and check out Cold Chisel. Now, it is time for How Good... How good was the ferry skipper who just sailed on through the Sail GP at the weekend? Now, the vision of this has gone viral globally. The ferry is making its way across the harbour and ain't nothing going to stop it. Not even a whole lot of very fast and very expensive boats going nearly 100 kilometres per hour that were literally having a race. Now, I have a message for this ferry skipper. Listen up. You bloody legend, mate. Now, the skipper didn't care about the millions of eyeballs on the racing, about the fancy technology on the fancy boats and the fancy blimmin' foils that everybody goes on about and all the fancy athletes on board. The skipper cared about the 20 people who had paid good money, $6, to get into Auckland on goddamn time. The skipper has basically said, I am the captain now, this is my ferry, and you move for me. Now this is a message to all of us in 2025. Be like the skipper. Don't let anything get in our way. Be like the skipper. Make others move for us. And also, importantly, so importantly, public transport must get to its destination on time. Important to remember that. So don't bag the skipper. It's hard enough to get around Auckland as it is. This is all about priorities. The ferry was taking people from Bayswater on the North Shore into the city, and Auckland Transport told me in a statement, it's all official and everything, that the ferry slowed down. Didn't really look like it, but anyway, that's what they said. It was a practice race, Auckland Transport said, and Auckland Transport also said the ferry was called through by the race marshal, etc., blah, blah, blah. Auckland Transport, listen to this. Give the skipper a pay rise. The Australian winning team in the Sail GP got about 400k. So that's a good starting point for this pay rise. Hey, and while you're at it, put the skipper in charge of keeping the rest of Auckland Transport on time. That's a job that needs doing. So let's just take a moment to just appreciate the ferry skipper busting their way into 2025. Because honestly, how good was that? Real good. Now, I met a guy last week who actually confused me more than anyone I've ever met in my 25 years of journalism, and I've been confused by quite a lot of people. This guy is definitely an unusual addition to my list of good Kiwi. We might have to invent a new category for him called Crazy Kiwi. But a few things are certain here. He is a New Zealand guy who is hugely famous in Uganda, yes, Uganda, Africa, where he's well known for his antics on social media. He calls himself Mzungu Buddha, and I definitely met him in Auckland while he was back here for a visit. So I'm now talking to Mzungu Buddha.
Mzungu Buddha, yes.
Mzungu Buddha.
Yes.
And you are the most famous white person in Uganda.
Well, I mean, yes, I think so. That's probably true. Ask them.
Yeah, well, I can't get there. I've never been to Uganda. I don't even really know where it is.
Well, it's actually in the heart of Africa. So the great river, the Nile, starts in Uganda, Lake Victoria, the source of it. It starts right there in Central Africa, and then it goes all the way up to Egypt, about 3,000 miles.
So how well known is Mzungu Buddha? Or
well,
Sam, as Sam as you're known.
No one knows my real name there.
Yeah, but in New Zealand people know your real name.
Yeah,
you're
true.
from Christchurch, your name's Sam.
Yeah. How well known? I think very well known. I think if I walk down the street, like 8 to 9 out of 10 people will recognize me. Maybe 10 now.
You make the village very funny.
With what?
With the quad bike.
Yeah.
And why do they know Mzungu Buddha?
Well, initially I was... Mzungu means white man. It actually means aimless wanderer, but basically everyone who's a white person is a Mzungu. A Buddha is a motorbike. So I was the first Mzungu to ride a Buddha and make these videos that were like picking up just local people, and they went viral. And then all sorts of rumors started about me, that I was a spy from the CIA, that I was a long lost son of the former president, that I was a Ugandan in a white man's skin, that I've just bleached a lot. So that sort of happened in the last year, and then from that it just proliferated and it just blew up. Many other videos, lots of different videos that are attention grabbing.
Yeah, so how many followers do you have, Ugandan followers on
in
social
Uganda?
media?
Like, I don't know, over 200,000. But I keep getting banned from TikTok. So I had a TikTok, got banned. I had another one who got banned, and then now I'm really hoping this new one doesn't get banned.
Yeah, and these rumours of deportation and being a spy, they've made the media over there.
Yeah.
Are you a CIA spy?
I don't work for CIA, I work for JBL.
What's JBL?
It's, look, I can't tell you that. You should know. There's a JBL right there. See the speaker?
JBL.
Shout out JBL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were. Yeah. But that's the.
Bro, I don't look like a spy, do I?
No, you don't.
Yeah, thanks.
But these things, we're joking, or it seems like we're joking. But
look,
these are real headlines.
The thing is that I have to be careful with these rumours because people actually take them seriously, and so
people actually thought you were a spy.
People do ask me. People do write headlines. People do talk. I think it's because of the moustache. It also could be because they don't know what I'm doing there, and there's no other logical explanation.
What are you doing in Uganda? What is the guy from Christchurch doing in Uganda?
I actually ended up there about 2 years ago. I had a dream, and it was my cousin, and he called me up, and actually in my dream he called me and told me to come to Uganda. So I woke up, and I booked a ticket. I called him and I said, "Are you still in Uganda?" He said, "Yes." And so I booked the next ticket out of there, and I went there, and I fell in love with the place. Like, it's magical.
How big, how many people are in Uganda?
47 million. It's very big. I think it's exactly the same, or roughly the same land area as New Zealand, so it's quite small for an African country, but it's extremely lush. It's called the Pearl of Africa. Winston Churchill named it the Pearl of Africa in the early 1900s because of how beautiful it was and how amazing the people were. It's got waterfalls, lakes, rivers, glaciers. It's got the best mangoes and avocados and passion fruits you'll ever try in your life. And it's, despite what anyone thinks or says, it's one of the safest places in the world I've ever been to. And it truly feels like it.
And how many white people are there roughly?
Mzungus, they're few and far between. Like, you'll meet many people who've never talked to a Mzungu before. I'm there to make people laugh.
You're getting dirty, your hands dirty.
Yeah, I'm there to. I like riding motorbikes and sliding cars around, and there's really no better place in the world to do that than Uganda because all the roads are dirt, so you slide everywhere. I mean, they've still got very nice roads, don't get me wrong. Uganda has beautiful roads, but lots of dirt roads. And
so
probably the police...
You're there drifting.
Yeah, the police aren't exactly as strict as they are here, so if they saw me do something there that they saw me do here, they probably wouldn't mind too much.
So you are in Uganda doing drifts?
Well, technically they're handbrake turns, but people call them drifts because they don't know how to explain what I'm doing with these cars that have like foot brakes and handbrakes because they're like mum's cars, so... I slide them around and they're like, ah.
And you're helping a football team?
So I accidentally started a football club because I was living in this nice area and I would drive past this little ghetto every day, and they asked me for one football once and then another football, and then they asked me for a coach, and for $30 a week you can get a guy to coach kids every day for 5 hours. Like, $30 goes a long way there. So I rallied a few friends together, we put in a bit of money, we got them jerseys, we got goalposts, we got them registered. Now we're actually a fully fledged football academy with 70 kids and expanding, and now we have a men's team. Our goal is to become the biggest football club in Kampala, which is the capital, and then Uganda this year and next year. And we're hoping to partner up and become like a brother-sister club with the New Zealand football club. However, I don't actually know anyone in New Zealand anymore.
What does the Ugandan government think of you?
I've had
they tried to kick you out of there?
This gentleman, known as Mzungu Buddha on social media, especially TikTok, he was recently, of course, removed from Uganda for reasons based on working illegally on a visitor's pass. He has since returned to his home country of New Zealand.
Look, about 95 to 99% of people really love the content. The other 1%, 5%, 10%, it's a bit shocking for them. Some of it
Does
is
the
shocking.
government want you out?
The government wants me in, but they want me to be legit. And what happened was I was on the wrong visa. I was running a football club, doing this, doing that. I mean, I've never really done paperwork much in my life. Like, if you ask any of my teachers at school, I was late to hand in homework a lot. I used to copy my friends at uni. I'm not...
Are you a spy or not?
Look, Paddy...
The answer is...
I work for JBL, like, that's it. Like, I don't have any other bosses that I've...
You meant to say no.
Yeah, well...
Like, I meant to say...
I'm not really...
Some people in Uganda think you're a spy.
I don't know why you would even ask that silly question, to be honest. But
because there's headlines all through the media that you're a spy.
Look, as I said earlier, I work for JBL, and that's where my loyalties lie.
Okay.
And my girlfriend, obviously.
Yeah.
But... no, in all seriousness.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there anything you want to add about your time in Uganda?
Well, look, I would like to advocate Uganda to everyone watching at home, because if you've ever considered going to Africa and been dissuaded by some negative thing that you've seen online or whatever, just any predisposition that we all grow up with, recheck that. Come to Uganda. It is the pearl of Africa. It is the nicest, sweetest place on earth. It's an abundance of fun, energy, and joy and natural beauty. And the people are just absolutely wonderful to deal with.
Just cut. You've got to end it because you're passionate, but you've got to stop.
No, it's fine. I can't. I'm done.
Okay, so Mzungu, or Sam, has disappeared back overseas now on his way back to Uganda. He's got a huge amount of positive energy, and I'm pretty sure he's using it for good in his own very confusing way. You can follow him on Instagram and TikTok. And if you know of a good Kiwi you want to dob in who is making a real difference to the community, email me, paddy@tfn.co.nz. Now, my last piece this week is something a little bit different. Jimmy Spittle. Jimmy Spittle was here last week for the Sail GP with his brand new Red Bull Italy team. Obviously, his main job was avoiding the Bayswater Ferry, but while he was here, I wanted to meet him. He's not a great Kiwi, but he's one of our greatest Kiwi enemies, at least traditionally and in the sporting arena. I wanted to find out more about his relationship to Aotearoa and whether, despite all the rivalry and all the wars of words, he actually loves this place. Hi Jimmy, I'm Paddy Gower. Thank you for joining me. And welcome to news, because that's what this is called. You're on the news. So I hope you enjoy your experience. You look worried.
No, mate, no. I just, when you mention the words news in New Zealand, I'm always a little sceptical.
When I say the word Kiwi to Jimmy Spittle, what does that summon up inside you?
Yeah, competitive. Yeah, getting ready for a fight. I mean, look, the best thing about the whole Australia and New Zealand growing up in the sport is that anytime you take on New Zealand, you're in for one hell of a fight and one hell of a battle. At the same time, I think what's pretty special is that if either one of the countries get in trouble or your Kiwi mates, we're generally the first ones to jump in. So it actually reminds me a lot of, let's say, a brother relationship where you want nothing more than to beat your brother. But if he's in trouble, you're the first guy that's going to jump in there. So I think that's what's really cool about the Aussie-Kiwi rivalry.
And one thing I've always wanted to ask you is, in that famous, in your case, or infamous in New Zealand case, the comeback where you took the America's Cup off us.
Imagine if these guys lost from here. What an upset that would be.
When you said those words about Dean Barker and the New Zealand team, imagine if they lost from here. Did you know something that we might lose, or was that out and out psychological warfare?
I think at that stage we were just trying to turn it around, and quite honestly, the biggest contingent of media in the press conferences was New Zealand media, naturally, and I was just getting sick and tired of them asking about us losing. And so I thought, look, now's the time to sort of turn it around. And look, at that point we were just trying every single thing we could to try and just fight ourselves back out of that corner and get back into the game. And it was just a huge team effort. But look, like most things, you can do all the talking you want on the land. At some point you've got to go out there and actually get it done on the sporting field.
But you were playing mind games and they worked.
At that point we were doing whatever we could.
And in terms of that, you know, and delving a bit deeper into the psyche between New Zealanders and Australians, you know, I understand you do really love New Zealand. You met your wife here and you got married here. Not a lot of people know that. Is that right?
Yeah, look, we spent a lot of time here. Yeah, met my wife here, got married down in Queenstown. Obviously did a lot of junior sailing and then, you know, big sports fan, played rugby myself. So, I mean, I actually can't believe I brought up rugby on the New Zealand media because it's been a tough old number of years for a Wallaby supporter. But at the same time, yeah, clearly a lot of respect. And yeah, New Zealand's a fantastic place. We've done multiple America's Cup campaigns here. We lived here in the previous campaign when we were based down here. So yeah, fantastic place.
You're saying you actually love New Zealand?
Not as much as Australia.
But you do love New Zealand. You can say I love New Zealand if you want.
It's not too bad.
And getting serious now about that, is there something that New Zealanders can do to improve their psyche? There is this perception that Australians are that little bit more hard-nosed, more prepared to win, whereas Kiwis are that little bit more laid back. Is there something in that, do you think? You know this from both sides. Is there something in that? Can we improve our psyche in this country?
Look, listen, given how the last couple of America's Cups have gone and the rugby, I think the last thing I'm going to do is offer advice to Kiwis.
You actually mean that, don't you? You like our style?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I think you look at the sporting teams, the way they go about it, you know, it really is about the team and leaving it in a better place and ultimately creating a culture that is all about improvement and no egos, you know, the no dickhead rule, which ironically I think came from the Sydney Swans. But again, if you look at who's been able to put that together, it's been a lot of the Kiwi teams. So it's, yeah, definitely something, you know, I've looked a lot at.
Something that struck me about you for a long time is comments that you've made about having ginger hair in the past. You've sort of implied that made you tougher growing up with ginger hair. Is that right? Yeah,
well, look, I mean, with fellow redheads, you know, we have a bit of an ongoing joke. You know, there's two things you learn as a kid growing up, and the first thing you get really good at running, and then at a certain point you get good at fighting because you just get sick of running. But yeah, look, I don't think having a bit of character building and facing a bit of adversity as a kid within reason growing up is a bad thing at all. I think it's great. I think it builds resilience. It really, you know, fight and the ability to sort of pull yourself back up and get back out there. So no matter what, you know, the reason. But yeah, look, it's always a bit of an ongoing joke, but slowly but surely we're taking over the world.
Yeah, growing up ginger made you stronger though, you're saying, aren't you?
Well, I don't know, it's all I know.
I'm not so familiar with the nautical environment, but you know, I noticed that nobody down here is wearing boat shoes. You know, what is the thing? There's no boat shoes here.
There's no boat shoes here. I think most of the guys are wearing Vans or skateboard shoes, and I think that's actually an interesting point because these boats, it's much different than, let's say, what people may perceive as sailing. They may think, you know, gin and tonics, getting out there with a blazer. Here it's, you know, it's serious, you know, real athletes. If something goes wrong, there's real consequences, impact vests, rebreathers, you know, so yeah, there's a lot of injuries. So it's a much different game. I think foiling and what the F50s and SailGP have done has really produced these athletes that are coming through that you have to have every base covered. You know, you can't just be just a great strategist or sailor, and you can't just be a really good athlete. You've got to have the ability to think under pressure and make fast decisions. So yeah, I think it's in a place where it's never been before, but because of that, it's getting credibility on the world stage.
Yeah, and do you own boat shoes?
No. This is as good as it gets for me.
And Jimmy, each week we ask our guests, to offer some advice from their life for other Kiwis. And something I didn't tell you is this segment is actually called Great Kiwi, and it's a place for a great Kiwi to come and talk. So you are an honorary, and this will be divisive for some New Zealanders, but you are an honorary Great Kiwi in my eyes. So congratulations on that, mate. But to leave people with one sort of lesson from life that you'd like to pass on to other Kiwis, what would that be?
I would say have fun. I mean, you're only here for a short time, so you may as well enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Spittle. Good luck out there.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
So that was Jimmy Spittle. Now, Jimmy Spittle, there is that phrase, love to hate someone, and I would have loved to have hated him, but he's just so damn nice, and maybe there's a lesson in that for all of us as well. You can win, you can be an enemy, and you can be nice. You don't have to be mean to win. You can be nice and win, and I think Jimmy Spittle shows that as well. Hell of a nice guy. Now that is TFN, the effing news for another week. If you hear of anything or know of anything that can bring some positivity into the world of news in this country, get in touch with me because I want to look into it because I love positivity. Paddy@tfn.co.nz. See yous, yes I said yous, as in YOUSE, next week.